Hey guys, it's Dave, and today, my first ever mystery gift box. I've got a friend out in Washington who has sent me some Hoya, and she has really interesting taste. Now, I knew one was coming. I have forgotten what it's called, but when I opened the box, surprise, surprise, there are a whole bunch of really cool looking plants in here. I don't know what any of them are, including the one that I said I wanted. I just don't remember, except that it has quite large leaves. Let me stop you there. I know it's not exactly novel to do an unboxing of mystery plants, but I'm also going to show you how I will assess them and how I'm going to chop and prop them. Dixie paid for priority shipping, USPS. It sat in her receiving area for 3 days and in mine for 1 day. They had it, they just decided not to deliver it. I'm gonna start it out with my tried and true mix. This is my preference for all propagations, to put it into the substrate I'm going to be using permanently. Y'all can give me comments all you want about semi-hydro. I love the comments. I love interacting with you, but you're not gonna change my mind. I have a system that works here for me where I grow very, very well. Since I took the summer off, I haven't had an opportunity to my bonsai scissors either, so those will be at the ready. Will I need some that just go into perlite? Depends on how dehydrated they are, if they're thin leaves. Let's just get into it, because I have no idea what we're looking at here. Chances are I'm not going to know what any of these are unless Dixie marked them. She's organized, she probably did. If not, I'll reach out to her before I edit this video. Let's get going. Well, I don't know if this is pronounced with a hard C or not, but this is Hainanensis. And it is kind of a Hoya boadi look-alike. Certainly larger leaves than my boadi has. I do know a little about this one. This is a very aggressive grower, like the boadi is. And some people feel like this is easier to bloom. I haven't had a problem with the boadi, but if it's easier to bloom, I'm all for it. It's also very aggressive grower. So this probably wouldn't be for you if you don't like up-potting your plant, worrying about trellising, and if for some insane reason you don't love green leaves as much as I do. I would say in terms of hydration, these are a little challenging to know because they are quite thin-leaved when they're fully hydrated. This plant, or this cutting, looks fantastic, and I am going to put it in my normal mix. If you're watching this in real time, I will have just posted my sobriety birthday video Friday, I think, or was it Thursday? Anyway, this one should be a little bit early. I'm shooting for Tuesday. Because I want to get how I mix up my mix, buffer it, what that means, etc. and so forth. I know that at least one of you really wants that video, but I get that question asked a lot, and I've never made it because I always thought it seemed too simple. But I've had so many requests for it. Obviously, what I take for granted and that I've learned over the years doesn't mean you have. So I will put that one out Friday. I have a new batch of cocoa chips coming. That's the only reason I'm not doing that as a midweek video. But I promise, I will get that out unless I fall off the edge of the earth. Which, given how this year's gone, I will put that little clip in there, pin in there. I say pin vines to a trellis and I say clip them to the substrate. I'm not right. Something is wrong in my head, and I have years of evidence to support that. This video is a little off the cuff. Usually I have the cleaning crew through, there's hair and makeup. I didn't get shaved today, but I am wearing a brand new shirt. I got it on ultra clearance, but nonetheless, brand new fleece flannel. The weather has turned. I'm happy as a pig in poo here in Iowa. I love this weather. All right, next up is, I have a friend who wants one of these so desperately. This is the KSB 08. I've never seen one. You have seen KSB-01 on my channel. KSB-02 was found on that same excursion. I think, is there a 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? One presumes at one time there was, but here we are with 8. And it definitely has verticillata vibes. And some blister variegation there. It's very pretty. Dixie has sent me a fair number of cuttings, and I think last year she said something to the effect of, I'm tired of trying to make these happy. So, in fact, if you saw the Hoya Carey recently, that gorgeous plant, that was one of hers. So what I'm gonna do is cut this up, and I wanna talk to you a little bit about the roots down here, because nothing is more popular on my channel than propagation videos, and I get tons of questions all of the time about roots. So let me cut this up and I'll be right back with you. For the sake of argument, pretend that this just came out of a pot and it wasn't in the mail for 6 days. And by the way, this is a day after. So when you see roots like this, and I get some pictures like this a lot, this is a destroyed root system. There's nothing here worth saving. And even if there were some good roots in there, it's my feeling from a whole lot of experience, and I'm talking not dozens of plants here, I'm talking about a significant number of plants, that you're just better off starting over. It can get tricky because sometimes there isn't enough stem, and there's got to be viable stem as well. So this leaf didn't make it, who cares, you know, that, oops, there we go, that's gone. But the rest of it, just to keep it clean looking, I'll cut off that piece of vine that was connected to a leaf above that's down here. And we will, so what you do, and there's not, you know, an awful lot of stem there, is take small cuts. So don't go hog wild. So I'm right-handed, so let me try to put that up there. That's no good. That is no bueno. So let's cut a little further back. And I mean, it's not great. So, well, I'm gonna make a big, okay, I'm not even gonna try. It's just brown and not good. There was just the most modest sign of life, but the leaf itself is also not doing great. So yeah, goodbye. Cheap rooting hormone. I have no idea how much hormone is in this, and some of you will have heard me say several times. I haven't seen this make any difference at all in rooting, but it will cauterize that cut. And by the time I water these in, they'll be ready to go. Although I've rarely had my little cuttings rot. It's happened, but it's not something that happens often enough for me to spend much time worrying about it. Two things on this one. When I am determining how loose the substrate's going to be in these props, I make a mental note of where's it going to be growing for the next 3, 4, 5 months. I know for certain this is going to be growing in the tent where the humidity is going to be quite high. I err on the side of airier mix. That will mean that come spring, for sure these will have to be repotted, which is no big deal. Second thing is, I don't love how this is all the way on this side growing in the opposite direction. It makes it more difficult to get plants close to each other, but I don't want to cut off one of these leaves just to make it fit closer over here. And the way the stem is bent, it's just not going to work any other way. I spent too much time trying to fit this in properly or more compactly. efficiently, and this is what I came up with, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm not going to have a tent that was full as it was like 2 years ago, for instance, when it was just absolutely packed. The danger you kind of run into when you have something weird like this is if you move plants in and out, that it'll catch and lift out, and you won't notice, and it doesn't root, and it's always disappointing to lose a nice cutting, especially on one that I certainly know someone that I could share this with. This one is written in permanent marker on the leaf. She's done that before. Let's see what this is. I don't know this one. Nervosa jokel? Do you all know that one? It is, I would imagine when it was hydrated, they're very leathery, so I imagine that they become quite turgid. This is going to have to be cut down just to get it to fit in one of those little pots I have. Just did a very brief lookup in Google, so not like my trusted sources at Q or RHS or anything, but apparently this is coveted, and I imagine most of these plants are quite rare, and I'm gonna show you a really rare one at the end of this video. That's an actual plant, but apparently it gets silvery foliage, and you know what? I bet it doesn't come across in this lighting, especially since this is a little bit warmer, but I can see that. Interesting. Well, I'll be excited to grow this one. Oh, yes. I've heard this pronounced before. I don't remember how it's pronounced, and I don't need to go out of my way to embarrass myself on this channel. So read it on the screen right now. This cutting looks really cute, and dang it, I wish those roots looked better. They do not. I'm going to be curious. This is, I'm sorry, I'm an American. I don't know the metric system, but this is about 1/2 inch of stem here. We'll see how it's looking. Just take all the dead roots off. Don't leave anything. Ah, looks fantastic. So we'll pot up this whole thing, and I will just make sure that I keep this moist. I've learned my lesson. Usually, my instinct is to want to put more coco coir in the pot and make it, more moisture retentive. And all I end up doing is making it more difficult for Hoya roots to grow into it, and it just compacts. And you've heard me talk about that probably dozens of times at this point. Airier side for props is my preference every single time. In a situation like this, if I get up the vine and things just don't look good, doesn't look like the leaf's gonna make it, this or that, I'm probably not gonna even try to prop it. I pick, and this is in my own collection too, well, I guess this is my collection now, but I take things that look good, look viable, and unless it's the end of the plant, like the Hoya boati that was down to it was down to 2 leaves in the node. One leaf looked sick and it fell off right away. The other one didn't look great. And now that's a big plant in just over a year. But if this doesn't look great to me, then I'm just going to get rid of it. It's a pretty fresh vine. The success rate on those for me is not as high. There is a node right here, so I am going to cut just below that. I mean, more nodes are better if you can get it in the pot. We'll see. I prefer the more established, woodier cuttings, but yeah, we'll see. And this one, I'm doing this, I'm going to cut this one too, because I don't need all of this. That's not attractive. Now's the time, right? I am cutting up the plant, so let's make a fuller one. And that looks healthy and good. If a plant's been hanging or trellis you know, it's the leaves can grow all over the place and look weird. That's what I'm trying to say, failing to say. In this case here, I'm going to sacrifice this leaf and put that node into the substrate. Just makes sense. Otherwise, that would have been just the stem. And again, if you can get a node into the substrate, all for the better. Same with that one. Very fresh. We shall see. Not a thing of beauty, but all this has to do is root up and grow. And then I will separate it out this spring. So it's going to be in the tent until, oh, probably March, something like that. Yeah, it looks goofy right now. The tall plant that looked the most substantial, like you would almost buy it as a plant, I put right in the middle. I did put a little plastic pin in that one. And be very careful when there's new growth on these, not to push it down like you're pushing in between a petiole and stem, which I've done many times. Not on this one, fortunately. Will all those growth tips live? We'll see. We'll see. Let's stay optimistic. This year has not been full of optimism if you bothered to turn on the news, so we'll say possibly. That last plant, by the way, is another boite type flower. Doug Chamberlain has grown that one and has trouble, I doubt he's still growing it, but had trouble keeping up with its growth in terms of potting and et cetera and so forth. So Dixie had a theme going on with those fuzzy flowers. Now the big daddy. Holy Moses. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of plant here. There is a fair amount of rotted plant in here. And I think I'll have to check my email. Like I said, I don't remember what this is, so I will find that out. Let me just get rid of the rotty. I think it was just kind of sitting in some moisture against plastic, which is never a good thing. But again, pay for 2-3 day shipping and it takes 6-7, whatever it was. That's not great. So this is like a little tree. Look at that. Well, let's find out what this plant is real quick, and then we can get it potted up. Stick around for that last one. It is cool. I will have the text. I didn't have it in my inbox or in my trash, so am I alone on Google Mail that once I have deleted something, even when I search trash, like not permanently deleted, they just don't show up half the time? Yeah, it's probably just me. Okay, so common question. How big can you go when you're propping? These are big, beefy leaves that hold a lot of moisture. Do I dare pot up that many? Let's see what we have here. There's a lot of plant. I want to get this, you know what? I'm going to get rid of these disgusting leaves. All right, I see what's going on here. That was one cutting that we were just looking at. And this is a whole plant. And of course you will have seen, unless Dixie just doesn't get back to me today, what this plant is. It's giving off that Germany vibe, Jennifer vibe, totally up my alley. I saw a rotty leaf in here. Anything that just doesn't look good now is going to continue looking worse. They are not coming back. I'm sure everyone watching this video knows that once a leaf is turned, she gone. Someone just paused the video to tell me that's not true. That always happens. Whenever I say, this is something for certain, somebody corrects me, and sometimes yeah, I agree, but not this time. All right, oh, that one's not, so. Now, come on, we can all agree that one's not coming back, right? Of course. Let's see what we have here. Well, I'm gonna have a lot of whatever this is, and I really like it. This is a quite beautiful. Whew. Now, let's just start hacking down here. I take the dogs out every morning for a sunrise or near sunrise walk in a huge field. I have the older dog who's a little arthritic, and that has been working miracles just to let her go at her pace. Just never looked better. We've been doing this for quite a while. Just running so strong, and then of course it wears the puppy out too. But now that they just, well, the puppy loved Lexi. She's kind of programmed to like, you know, an older dog. They are really cute running out there, and Lexi is just going so fast now, which I kind of thought those days were over for her. But man, she looks so good. It's just great to see. Okay. Well, the stem of the plant looks like I'm going to be cutting further up, because this hole, that just doesn't look great. I don't want to risk it. I would have to obviously take cuttings from this anyway, so I am just going to get busy. When I tackle something like this, I just dismantle the base of it first so I can kind of see what I'm working with. So here, for instance, I can see that here's a node, here's another node, and here's some more plant. And I can kind of get a sense that if I were to cut this one, which I want to do, that will give me enough of this one if I put it in the substrate and pin it down like that. But that would leave me very, very little for the next rung up. Maybe, as much as I don't like to do it, and may have to sacrifice a leaf. I don't mind doing it on a really viney plant that has dinky little leaves, and it's not much of a loss. But one of these can produce, you know, a really nice plant right from the beginning. These are mature leaves. I wish I knew what this was. Try to be a little bit careful to leave some stem above that node, because potentially this could die back into the node and you could lose what would have been a beautiful plant. I did cut that leaf off. It makes no sense to try to have, one, it's harder to keep a really large leaf clipped into a pot, and so you need a little bit more stem into the substrate if you can get it. And I'm gonna lose the top one here. It's dehydrated and completely curled up, so I'm gonna say goodbye to that. There's a cutting. I wouldn't call these beautiful leaves, but they could make a beautiful plant. And here we have 4 leaves, 2 nodes that are, there's no internodal spacing. They are just crammed together. Yeah, it would be a nightmare to try to take this one off. So I guess there are actually 3 nodes, but 2 are smashed together, and then there's this one, and you would have a 1/4 inch of, no, that's just not going to work. So what I'll do is just, okay, no, those are 4 huge leaves, so I'll sacrifice one of the leaves, and so that it's right now it's going to lay like that. And now the question always for me is, you know, it's not just getting it into the substrate, it's I like to put it in at an angle like this so that the leaves come off the side and it's, you know, it's not draping over. So I just want to make sure that I have trimmed enough of that stem off that I can do that. And then I can use 1, 2, 3, 5 clips, whatever I need to get that pinned down really well. I'll go ahead and pot up the rest of these without you, and my battery just died, and 1 out of 10 times that happens, I lose all the footage. I'm going to move forward like I didn't lose all the footage. If this video never comes out, well, you won't know why, because It just won't exist. However, I wanted to show you this. I used 2 of those orange pens to put this down into the substrate really firmly. And then of course, once it's moist, it holds even better. Do keep in mind that you, depending on where you put those, you need to watch those because new growth may want to come out from there. So definitely be mindful that you're not impeding that in some really negative way. I think where I have it, it would probably be fine, but nonetheless, you never know. These things, as Rod says, Hoya gonna do what Hoya gonna do. In fact, let me wrap this up before I finish this off camera with Hoya barrensis, possibly how you pronounce it. This, until relatively recently, was species affinity Spardioides. This has now been identified to be its own species of plant. And I don't know how it will come up on camera, but I can tell you that this is really cool in person. And what Dixie did, I don't know that you'll be able to find one of these if you're dying to get your hands on one, but Dixie bought it, had it shipped to me, wants me to propagate it and grow each of us one. So very cool, and I really appreciate that. And I would never keep the better plant next April when I ship this out. I will provide no photographic evidence, none at all. If you're not familiar with taxonomy, when they do species affinity, they will collect a plant and kind of be like, I don't know. Looks like Spardioides. I don't think it is. Maybe it is. We need to verify it. And that's what they did with this. It has now been verified and accepted as a species. And again, you know, just a really, really cool species. And you'll see also, you know, like a latifolia collected in Sarawak. It's not a cultivar name. That latifolia is not a Sarawak. That is just a location. If you can verify that you bought one from one collected in Sarawak, and that's one that's lost all meaning, like so many things. Sellers just throw names on everything. Hi, puppy. I guess it's time to go outside. But anyway, I wanted to show you this lovely plant. Got it the same day, just got this. So this will be growing for me for a little while. Then I will chop and prop it. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video real soon. Bye-bye.